Hi, I'm Amy Corr, Chief Brokerage Officer of At Properties Christie's International Real Estate, and you're listening to Corr Values, a podcast where we talk about real estate and real life. As someone who's worn many hats, agent, managing broker, coach, executive, and mom, I know the hustle is real. So I'm sitting down with industry leaders and entrepreneurs to uncover the stories, strategies, and values that fuel real success. From being the CEO of your own business to figuring out how to show up for your people, we're covering it all. My guest today is a master certified coach, author, former financial advisor, and yes, even a hypnotist. Her name is Angie Wisdom, and she's built her career helping entrepreneurs master their mindset, gain confidence, and perform at the highest level. In this episode, we explore how to push past the grind of the current real estate market and show up as your best self, both in business and in life. Don't miss Rapid Fire, where Angie shows her competitive side, not just watching, but actually competing in 2 game shows we all know and love. Well, Angie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on Corr Values.
I'm happy to be here, Amy. We're going to have a great conversation.
And it's great. It's super convenient because you've been in town for our 2 suburban summits, and that has been amazing. I heard you talk this morning, which was exciting. Lots of great nuggets that you're sharing with our agents. And I think it's super timely because right now, you know, the theme that we had at the summit was it's fourth quarter. You know, we've got to kind of, find that energy to get to the finish line. And a lot of what you talked about was mindset and the things I think agents need in order to be able to do that. So I'm excited for our talk today. But first, I want to get a little bit more about your background and where you came from, because I understand you actually started in the financial world. You were in the world of investments, but that somehow segued you into this idea of coaching. And then we did talk a little bit about how there's a good percentage of your clientele that are real estate agents. So tell me a little bit about sort of that journey and how you've gotten here today as a coach.
Absolutely. I started out in the investment world, back in 1997. So I don't even a long time ago, right? And before I even knew that I was coaching, that's kind of part of what our job was. And I often say the same for real estate agents, because when you think about it, when you sit down with a client and you're like, okay, tell me what you want. Tell me why you want that. And you're talking to people about what they want to do in their future retirement, what matters to them, talking to them about risk, right? Like, well, what are you afraid of? What lights you up? It's all these coaching questions that really allow you to get to know somebody and make a difference in their life. So back then it was all about money and investing, but really I fell in love with that process of connecting deeply with somebody, asking great questions so that you then had the insight to really help serve them and be impactful. And like I said, I think real estate agents have the opportunity to do that same thing. Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I know that you work with a lot of top talent. I know a lot of C-level executives, upper management, a lot of driven people, let's put it that way. So I'm kind of curious, is there a commonality or a certain theme that you see across a lot of the individuals that you coach?
Yes. And you're going to love this. This is hysterical. I always say that everyone that comes to see me, they're like, well, I have to tell you, I think I have ADD. And every high achiever thinks they have ADD. I'm not saying that they don't. Most of them will say, I've never been formally diagnosed. And the funny thing is after the summit today, a man came up to me and he was like asking me questions. And he goes, I should tell you already, I think I have ADD. And he goes, I think all real estate agents do, but it's a sign of a high performer, feeling like you're going 100 miles a minute, right? You're tending to all these different things, a lot of plates in the air. So that is definitely one common theme I see. And there's also just this tenacity, like that you're unstoppable. And whether they have reached a high level of success yet, or whether it's just innately in them, there's something special where they've got kind of that grit and they're like, oh, it's happening. It's happening some way or another, whether I can do it on my own or whether you're going to help me. They will find a way. And that's just such a fun spirit to work with.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because they're so driven. It's always, even if there's challenges, there's, like you said, that innate thing inside of them that is that opinion that I'm going to figure out how to make myself successful or get to what I need to. And that's exciting. I feel like that's exciting to watch. I had the chance over years in my own experience of coaching and working with agents. And it's like when that light bulb goes on, you know, and they also realize their own power and ability to make things happen if they can just kind of get out of the chaos or the roadblocks. And it's funny that you talk about ADHD, because today on my drive back into the city, I had an agent that had said, you know, a great meeting today. She said, but I feel like my ADHD kicked in at some point.
Yes.
So those agents and top producers or high performers, you know, I sometimes feel like maybe I've got it as well. But I think it's also just when you have so much going on, right? It's like so many balls in the air. You become kind of disjointed, right? So maybe it's almost you feel that you have that, even if it's not necessarily the case.
Right. There's this constant multitasking going on that can make it feel like, oh, what was I doing? What was I saying? You know, where am I tuning into? Yes. But I call it chosen ADD.
Chosen ADHD. I love it. All right. So let's talk about, again, we touched on this a little bit today, where we're really trying to get agents to focus on finishing this year strong. But it's a big grind right now. And, you know, I feel like I could go 5 years ago and an agent would be like, this market's so hard. Like every market that we're in has its challenges. But nevertheless, by the time you're in this fourth quarter, you are tired. It's just the reality of it. You know, there's been a lot going on this year. So we've got a lot of agents that are in the grind right now. You know, and the market is challenging, especially because we are dealing with a lot of inventory issues. There just aren't enough houses out there for a lot of the buyers that want them. There's also a lot of just distractions going on, right? Just with the lawsuit we went through this last year, just lots of things. What's your advice for agents who are kind of feeling burnt out, frustrated, really sort of not that motivated right now?
The first thing I would say is like, watch your language, you know, because we use these words that really create a different energy within us, like even grind. Right? If someone says like, it's a real grind right now, that's a natural resistance word. So we have that part of our brain, the amygdala, and all of a sudden it fires up and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a grind. And most people don't want to step into a grind. Or if they're like, oh, that's so hard. You know, whenever we're using these words that kind of spike that cortisol level and that resistance, we actually set ourselves back. So it sounds funny, but I'm always like, watch your language, you know, choose a different word, because it may feel like a grind, but we can choose something else. And really, we could just say, gosh, there's a ton of opportunity out there. There's a lot of places where I get to step in and use my problem-solving skills. So that shifting of the mindset is huge. But the burnout issue really comes from not getting your values in. And we can talk more about that, you know, from a values perspective. We have to have those in order to be fueled, in order to feel like we have motivation and energy. When we deplete ourselves of values, we literally redline. So it's like empty in the tank. And then what do we function off of? Yeah. Right?
So when you say values, do you mean like family or time to myself? Like, you know, how granular when you're saying values? What do you have people thinking about?
Precisely, right? You have to think about like what fills you up, what energizes you. So oftentimes it's family for many people, some not. But usually there's a family component in there. Alone time is a huge one. Maybe it's time in nature, spirituality, physical activity, healthy lifestyle, like what really fills you up. And what happens is when we get in this mentality of like, wow, it's a grind right now, or everything's so hard, I've really got to hustle, the brain goes, okay, well, anything extra, we're just going to put to the side. And all of a sudden we've cut off like our lifeline that, you know, I like to say they're just as important as the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. We need those values. We just don't recognize what it does as much as like, my gosh, if you quit drinking water or eating, right? You're going to feel the effects of that. The burnout is the effects of those lack of values. So granular, they can be big, but then we've got to get really specific and go, okay, well, what does that look like in my life?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that because it made me think about yesterday. I had an opportunity to catch up with my two sisters and my mom, and it had been like on my mind. I haven't talked to them in a couple weeks. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's kind of a drag or drains me because I feel bad that I haven't made the time for them. And it's funny how this morning I woke up and I'm like, I just checked 3 things off my box. I know everybody's good. Everybody's okay. So now I feel like I'm in a better space just simply from doing that. And it's like, you just, you know, I think you have to to your point, make sure that you're taking time to be aware, because I don't even know if I knew that was bothering me as much as it was. I had the time to do it. I did it. But now I see the effects of how much better I feel, just from having that, those 30, well, one was an hour and a half call, those tend to be long, but it was great. It was,
right.
Filled up my cup, in a way that I think is now pushing me kind of even into this week.
Absolutely. It's such a capacity creator. It gives you that energy. And now it's like, oh, I've got like the bandwidth to zone in on some other things. You feel refueled, or it's a tab that you've gotten to close down, right? That you no longer have to put any attention to. But the mindset for people is usually like, okay, well, that has to wait. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's it's counterintuitive, one, to put them in, but it's so counterproductive to leave them out.
Yeah. And I liked your idea of watch your words, but I do feel like, do you have any thoughts of, because I feel like sometimes, I know for myself, I almost have to have that moment where I'm like, I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, then I put it in a box and then I kind of change my attitude. So do you have any thoughts on that? Like, is it that we really should just practice not even allowing those words or that stuff to come into our space, or do we make ourselves really aware of it, kind of get through it, package it up, put it away so that we can, I think, move forward in a much more positive space?
Yes. No, I'm all about like verbalizing it and recognizing it, because otherwise, right, we're just stuffing it down. And that doesn't mean that it's not operating in the background.
Yeah.
It's still there, even if we're ignoring it. So my big rule around that is say it, but insert the word feel. That is a requirement. Like, not I'm burnout, I'm exhausted, I'm drained. Like, that is an identity. And if we think that, then we take on that identity. The brain is like, oh, we're drained, we're exhausted. Like, so let's align things with that. If we simply put one word in there, feel, feelings can be changed. So all we have to do is say, I feel tired, I feel exhausted, because the brain goes, okay, well, do we want to keep that feeling? That gives us the space to do something about it, versus if we declare something to be true, like I am this, which is great for affirmations, right? We want to say like, I am loved, I am worthy, because it's like ironclad and we're owning it. But the negative things, we want to say, I feel. Yes.
That's great. I mean, it's just that one little word can kind of make all the difference. I love a lot of the mind and brain things that you're talking about, the different parts of the brain, and, how they all really make a huge difference in, how successful we can be in a day, a week, a month, or a year. So tell me a little bit about your book, The Non-Negotiable You, because it is about mindset mastery. And it isn't just, it's like scientific mind stuff, which I really appreciate, because it's like, this is really how your mind is made up of. It isn't just willpower, for lack of a better word. So tell me a little bit about it, because, again, agents have unpredictable days, weeks, months, years. And, I think, are there any like tactical pieces that an agent can kind of take from that book that they can put into practice, even if it's just one thing that they can start out with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. And it really is, the non-negotiable you is about all these different mindset components, because I fully believe, and I see it happen every single day in my business, that when you can control your mind, you have unlimited opportunity and possibilities. It's only our mind that gets in the way. So the book really takes you through several tactical pieces. That the first chapter is like awareness. And it's that being able to say, I feel something. Just that right there. If agents all day long just was like, how do I feel? Oh, I feel frustrated. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, what do I want to do about it? That awareness and empowerment. Awareness and empowerment changes everything. It can be the difference of a great day or horrible day. Like you probably heard people say, oh, I had a horrible day. It started first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like,
and then it just got worse.
Yes. And it just got worse. You never changed the way you felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just owned it. Like, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and your brain just went, okay, let me give you more of that. So just that one little piece of awareness there can change an entire day. Their values are in there, responsibility, right? Like, I'm big on not being a victim to things. I don't care what you choose. In the long run, you get to choose what you want to choose. If you want to stay out for an extra drink, if you want to skip your prospecting, whatever it may be, but you have to choose it. Because when it's like, I couldn't make my calls today because I had to go to the showing. Well, you could have.
Yeah.
You could have canceled the showing. Like, we have choices. And just by taking responsibility and saying, I chose to skip those calls because I prioritized the showing, great. it's an empowerment thing. We can get easily into this habit of going, I couldn't do this because of that. I couldn't do this because, and it just puts us in this victim mentality where we're run by excuses. So for agents out there, gosh, just start deciding and choosing. Even if it doesn't align with what you want, at least you took responsibility for it.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like in listening to you, you know, one of my problems, because I'll share my own experience, is just I feel like I'm going so fast sometimes. It's like I'm in the fast lane, not even the fast lane, I'm in the express lanes, and there's like no exit in sight. And, you know, I feel like sometimes the one thing that I really do need is to almost slow down and stop, to be able to kind of even have that silence in my mind, to even recognize, or half the things that I'm doing, or I'm moving so fast, am I missing things, you know? Yes. So I feel like that is probably a struggle for a lot of us agents. So any thoughts on what is a tactic to be able to slow down? Is it writing stuff down? Is it having a really good morning routine? Because even for me, I'll be honest, sometimes the morning routine doesn't work out with family and craziness. I would say the one time or place where I feel like I have the most silence or ability to think is at night before I go to bed. I kind of like think through the day and try to get myself ready. But what are your thoughts? Because everyone's moving so fast.
Yes. Okay. Let me throw this question back to you for a second. Pop quiz.
Okay.
What is your belief about slowing down? Like, don't give me the right answer, but genuinely, like, what's your thought about slowing down?
That I don't have time to slow down.
Yeah. And so it goes back to mindset.
That I might miss something. Yeah.
And so most people are like, if I'm sitting still, if I'm not doing something, I'm not productive. I'm running out of time. I'm falling behind. So it's always a mindset thing. Like, we can preach as much as we want and give all the stats as to why a morning mindset is going to work for you, or why sitting or meditating or being still for 5 minutes. But if your belief around stillness
isn't aligned with actually being still, it's not going to work.
It's not going to matter. So the first thing we have to do is go, well, what do we truly want to believe about being still? And trust me, this is where I came from, right? I went all the time because the way I grew up in my childhood, and for most people, there's something tied to this, right? The Irish Catholic family, right? You didn't sit still. I mean, I'd hear the garage door open and I was like, oh God, like pick up some dishes, do something, like start cleaning
Make yourself
the bathroom.
useful.
Yes. So that's ingrained in us, you know, and many different reasons for other people. But it's like my association with stillness was, you are lazy. Quit being lazy. Quit being unproductive. There are things to do. So I had to first come to this awareness that, like, is that the thought I want to operate on? Because the truth is, when we sit still, we ideate, we create, we elevate, like all these amazing things. So once I understood that, I was like, okay, that's my thought now. I'm going to sit still because then I'm going to be able to get creative. I'm going to ideate new ideas for my business. I'm going to elevate everything in my life. And it was like, that's worth sitting still for.
Wow. So what is your recommendation on sitting still? Is it once a day? Is it 30 minutes? Like, do you have a recommendation, or how do people get started? Because I will say, in this business, you telling myself or any real estate agent out there to sit still, they're like, can I do it in my car for 10 minutes while I'm waiting for a showing?
Absolutely.
So how do we get started with sitting still?
It has to be what's right for you.
Okay.
So if somebody's like, no way, no how, that could never work, set your phone timer for 60 seconds.
Okay.
Give me 1 minute. Okay. Right? If someone's like, well, I don't have a problem sitting still for 5 minutes. I just, don't know what to do with it. Right? So everyone is going to be at a different place where they feel about this stillness, and start with something doable. The morning mindset routine is that perfect place once you can sit for 10 minutes, because it's stillness, but it's reflective. So it's purposeful. Right? It's not just like, okay, I'm going to sit here and like wait for the earth to move and for me to come up with some idea. It's like, okay, well, what am I aware of? What do I want from this day? What am I affirming?
So it's an interactive stillness in the sense of like getting thoughts out of your head and having a little bit more of a vision, or a plan moving forward.
So it's a trick. It feels really productive. You know what I mean? Because you're writing and you're thinking, but it's all inward and introspective, which is going to create that ideation and that creation that people need to elevate.
Yeah. I notice a difference when I do it. Yeah. I don't probably do it enough, but when I have that time to just kind of reflect or think, I feel more organized. I feel like that's when good ideas come out. And I just feel like we don't allow ourselves, it's like a luxury sometimes to be able to have that space.
It's true. And big bonus points here. Most people don't realize that when you sit still and you give yourself that space, it gives us massive points in the self-worth and self-love category. Because think about it, if we're always you got to go, you got to perform, you have to do something, you have to be something, you're not worthy. And then you're like, oh, I deserve 5 minutes of time. It just totally spikes up the confidence and self-worth.
Well, I love that you segued right into that, because I think my next question was about exactly that, which is building confidence. I think in this business, confidence is the name of the game. And, confidence comes from having done this long enough to know the answers to every tough question that a client might ask. But, confidence, also just needs to be a feeling that we have about ourselves that gets projected out into the world, right? To others. So how, what is your thought on people building confidence? It sounds like a morning routine or reflecting and building from the mind, from your mindset to then push outward. But, tell me your thoughts on how you help your clients with confidence.
First of all, I like to separate competence and confidence.
Okay.
So you just said to me, like, being in this business a long time and having all the answers, that's competence. You are very competent at your job. Competence takes learning and growing. Confidence, you also said a minute after that, was like, is just the way you feel about yourself, like projecting it. And so when we think about confidence, it's like, do you believe that you're going to keep showing up again and again to make something happen that you want? I bet the answer is yes, right? So most people say they are low on confidence, but really, if they start to extract what they've done in their life, they'll find out like, wow, I have showed up time and time again. So let me ask you, I mean, what you're like,
turning the tables,
Whose podcast is this?
It's all right. I'm ready.
What can you name a couple of things for me that you are so proud of that you have accomplished?
Well, keeping my children alive.
Yeah.
And I know
I was gonna say,
said
no
earlier,
kids.
children
No
don't
kids.
count. But I will say what I am proud of, and it does relate to family, is having a full-time career that's pretty demanding and being able to, I don't think you can truly balance, but doing my very best to be able to show up and be present as much as I can on the personal side as well as the business side. And, feeling that I've done that pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many things that
Don't
takes.
ask my kids about it, but that's what I think.
They're not here, so we're good. And what do you believe that requires from you?
The ability to let go of certain things. I think, not everything has to be perfect, but if it's 80% of the way there. And I think, kind of even on the family side, right? It's like me just being there and being present. Maybe I would have wanted to be present or have certain things perfect in the version that I saw, but me just being there mattered more than anything else. And I think a lot of that is true on the work side of things, because it's all about, showing up for that person. The biggest thing I think is also being present. And I've had to work a lot on that. So when I'm with my family, really trying to do my best to be there and be focused on that. And then the same thing when it comes to work. It's not easy though. It's like an everyday, some days I get it better than others.
Yeah. Presence is one of the toughest ones to work on. So think about that, right? Like how often do you reflect? And that's just one. I know you have so many more. I won't make you list them all, but how do you feel when you reflect back on, gosh, what I've accomplished and what it took?
I mean, it's great. Sometimes I'm exhausted when I look back and think like, sometimes I'm like, how did I do that?
Yes.
Like you look back and think, whoa, it was a whirlwind. But suddenly you look back and you've been able to accomplish it. So.
Okay. You couldn't have given me a more perfect answer. How did I even do that? Tell me that you don't have 100% confidence then. You did things that you don't even know how you did it.
Yeah.
And most people do. They look back and they're like, I don't know how I got through, that wild divorce. I don't know how I started my business. I don't know how I raised 3 kids and had a job. Because that's just who you are. You have tenacity and perseverance and you will continue. Like that's true confidence. But the problem is most people don't ever recognize any of that. They're like, oh, no, that's just what you do.
Yeah, right. But that is what I say oftentimes. It's sometimes you just go into an autopilot of, just needing you just need to do it.
Right. You just do what you need to do. But if we don't give ourselves credit for those things, then that's where the confidence stays low. So I love to have people write a brag book, right? Write down everything that you've ever accomplished before and then look and say, what did it take to do this? Most of the time, the stuff that people have overcome and accomplished, it is massive compared to what they're looking at doing. right? I've got somebody going, oh, I just hate to pick up the phone and call people. I'm like,
I know, right? Do you know what you just did?
Do you look at that? And then they're like, oh, forget that, right? And they're in action because they remember that confidence piece.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's really giving yourself the opportunity to reflect backwards in order to be more impactful moving forward.
It is.
Where I think I don't think I take enough time to do that. It's on to the next thing, checked it off the list, just keep on going. So I think if anything, kind of from this, that nugget I'm taking is it's okay to kind of look back, observe, reflect, find the time to do it because it's going to help you moving forward.
Absolutely. More than okay. Yeah. And in the morning mindset journal, I have a question that says, where did you win today?
Okay.
And you would be so surprised how many people were like, I don't know, I didn't have a win. I'm like,
yeah. But it's hard too, because I feel like it's hard for us to find our wins, but gosh, you ask us like, what do you think you should have done better? Sure. It's terrible that we always go that way. It's like we're much harsher. We should be much stronger advocates for ourselves instead of, kind of beating ourselves up so often.
If I ask like, where did you go wrong today? I'd need like multiple pages for people.
Oh yeah.
But our brain, we think like 50,000 thoughts a day. Yeah. And do you know that like 85 to 90% of them are negative?
Wow.
Isn't that wild? Like that is the way our brains are
85
wired.
to 90% are negative.
Yes.
So even if you could, change that percentage, imagine if it was 50-50. It'd be a whole new world.
And that's the power of like being proactive with your mindset, because otherwise those are your odds. That's what you're stacked for. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it every day, you run into people and it's like, oh, lunch was this, the weather's this, right? There's just negativity. Yes. Not intentionally. Yeah. But that's just the way it's wired.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that. The longer I've been around too, it's like you recognize, I really want to be around those people that bring me up and build me up. And, whenever you ask them, how are things, everything's great. Yeah. It makes such a huge difference. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this question. I know that you are working with a lot of agents. Are there any like common themes or things that agents seem to do that are holding them back from getting to that highest level that in their minds they want to achieve?
Yeah. Several. I'm trying to think, what are the top ones here? The roller coaster mentality, for sure. A lot of agents, even at the highest level, they work in this like feast or famine, right? They dial in and they step on the gas and full speed ahead when they need to, when they feel like business isn't there. And then all of a sudden we've got lots of transactions and contracts and it's like, okay, cool, I can breathe now. And it just creates so much volatility. Yeah. That same volatility is the volatility in your bank account, right? It's the same volatility that's in your confidence and your worth and all of that. So one of the number one things is shift over into consistency, right? Because that stepping on the gas and then burning out or tapping out is far more counterproductive than people think it is. Yeah. You may get that sprint, but then it's like months later and you're like, oh my gosh, I have nothing in my pipeline. Yeah. So being able to be consistent. And then the second thing is the vision of like, what do you really want? A lot of agents, they talk about, well, I want to be in luxury or I want a team, and bringing that to life. It's a mindset piece, right? Well, I've never sold luxury, so I can't. I don't live in luxury, so I can't. I don't know how to lead people. So always going back to that mindset. If you really think about what do you want, if you want to celebrate 3 years from now in your business, what's going to fire you up? And then working your mindset around that. It's often what I do with agents. They want something, but they haven't gone after it yet because there's a lack of belief. So shifting that mentality so that then that runway is open so they can take action. And
I also even think just making sure it's what they really want, because I think sometimes agents will look at other agents and kind of say, I kind of want to do what they're doing, and sometimes don't take the time that's needed to kind of really be quiet and figure out what's right for me. Because maybe it isn't having a mega team with 4 or 5 people that are reporting to you. I mean, maybe what you do need is a really great administrative team that can help you continue to do what you're doing, right? So it's like taking the time to really be thoughtful on what's your journey in real estate, not what is everybody else's or what's on trend right now. I think that's the other thing, because teams are, not going away, but it's almost trendy, right? I'm finding where a lot of people think that's the next step. And it could be a variation of, but what does that variation look like for you?
It's not for everybody. And it's one of the quickest things I see with agents that are like, oh, cha-ching, I'll just get a couple people on my team, right? And you take a little bit of the commission and it sounds great. It sounds like the perfect way to scale. Yeah. But really, I mean, it can also scale in the complete opposite direction of scaling your time.
For sure.
If you're not interested in really being that leader.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's something to think about before you just dive in. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. All right. So this is really interesting when I learned this about you, that you are a hypnotist.
Oh, yeah.
So unfortunately on the podcast today, we don't have time to put Amy to sleep and find out all of her deep, dark secrets. Thank goodness. But tell me a little bit about that. I mean, that really enthralled me when I, saw that as part of your profile. So do you put people, fully asleep and hear all of their, secrets? What does hypnotism look like with Angie Wisdom?
I love this question because it's always so interesting to think or hear what people think hypnosis is.
Yeah.
Right.
I think of like the big,
yes,
look into the medallion until you fall asleep.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like even before I got into it, when I heard about it, I was like, you're going to like put me to sleep and I'm going to squawk like a chicken. Like somebody's going to make me do something that I don't want to do and look like a fool. And yes, you can do that. But hypnosis is really just a way to quiet the conscious mind and get into the subconscious. The subconscious is where all of our thought patterns and our beliefs. I mean, when we go back to what we do every day, what we think every day, 90%, 95% come from our subconscious. So when we were talking earlier about the Catholic Irish family and the way we jump when the car comes, that's programmed in our subconscious. And so is it if one of a client, hung up on us, or a client gives us a bad review, it all gets programmed in. So when we talk about making like real difference in our mindset, being able to go into the subconscious and reprogram those thoughts is huge. And hypnosis is a great way to do that.
Wow.
So I have to tell you, like years and years and years ago, I was all like grit and grind. Like I just pure force and power to get things done. I would have never meditated. I would have never done hypnosis. I would have never sat still, right? It wasn't part of me.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I'm like, we are missing such a huge hack. Like I can work with somebody just on a conscious level, and it may take us 6 months to make progress that I can work with somebody on a hypnosis subconscious level that we could make in 6 weeks.
Wow. Just because you're kind of almost bypassing the roadblock of the conscious that always doubts and overthinks and does all those things. It's like the roadblocker.
You got it.
Interesting. And you can go to the subconscious, have a conversation with the subconscious and say, this girl up front is no good.
Right.
Let's figure out what we really need to do.
Great job describing it.
Oh,
yes.
interesting.
But like you said, we have this conscious mind that's constantly battling. No, it's not. It's not true. I'm not the best agent. No, I don't deserve this. But if we can put that conscious mind to sleep, put everything we want into the subconscious, and then you kind of like come back to alertness, all of a sudden it's fascinating. People start doing things differently.
And so what happens to the conscious part though? If you're working into the subconscious, does it just override? Does it create different like thoughts or patterns? Like how does that work?
The subconscious 99% of the time wins out over the conscious mind.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why you could consciously sit here and go, no, I need to make calls. I definitely want to make calls. And then you go to pick up the phone and you're like, oh, I need to do something else. Right? Because your subconscious kicked in and was like,
we don't want to do this.
We don't want to do this. We're going to get rejected. There's this fear. So that's why when people go, why don't I do what I know I need to do? Because your subconscious is running a totally different program than what you're consciously here telling me.
Wow.
So what happens is that subconscious now, the new programming that we're putting in, it just starts happening.
Wow.
And it's so fascinating because there's no like conscious thought in it, right? Somebody will just say to me like, I don't even know. Like all of a sudden I've got a luxury listing. I didn't even think I could do luxury.
Wow.
But that programming shifted. So
it's coming in and they don't even realize it. Wow.
Yes.
All right. I might have to set up an appointment for hypnosis. We got a lot of work to do.
It's so fun.
That is amazing.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. It really is neat work.
Lots of really great, interesting things that you're doing. I love it. But we are going to shift gears because it is that time in the podcast where we're going to get a bit of wisdom, finding out just a little bit more about Miss Angie Wisdom here. So I've got a fun, rapid fire question for you to answer. I hope you're ready for it.
Let's do it. Okay.
All right. First, what's something you love to do when you're not coaching?
Oh, game shows.
Oh,
I'm
game
a
shows.
Game show junkie.
Any favorite?
I've been on Wheel of Fortune.
You've been on?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought you meant just watching them on TV. Oh, you like to be on the game show.
Yeah, but I love to compete. Just any competition.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
That is amazing. Jeopardy, is that like that on your list?
But
oh, you have?
Yeah,
oh my God. I wouldn't even make the first cut. I would still be confused of, is that a question or an answer that's on the screen? Yeah. No, that wouldn't be mine.
Love to compete.
Wow. Game shows. I love that. All right. What's your personal non-negotiable? Something you always make time for no matter how busy your day is.
Time with myself.
Okay.
Always. First
Great.
thing in the morning. My self-love, self-trust, self-worth.
Wow.
It's the only thing that I will never negotiate on.
Wow. Okay. I mean, need to work
Sorry,
that
came on
in.
strong. Sorry.
No, I love it. I'm just thinking that's something I need to work on. Favorite book or podcast? You can't say Corr Values. No kidding. Favorite book or podcast that you're loving or that you would often recommend?
It's a heavy, deep book, but man, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is just talk about being present, right? Like life changing.
Really?
Life changing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should put it on my
when
on
you
my
can
book
get
club
present
list.
like that, worries disappear. So good.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right. These are some good ones. I'm adding it to the list. Favorite thing about living in Newport Beach, California? I mean, so many things.
I mean, the weather, it sounds so cliche, but yes, the weather is absolutely amazing. So I love to be outdoors. So to be able to go out for a run every single day is just love it.
Ah, yes. Fabulous. Well, it's still nice here in Chicagoland, but I'll be sad and wishing I had Newport Beach weather in a few more months. If you weren't a coach, what would you be doing?
I would probably be operating a restaurant or bakery.
Really?
I love to bake.
Oh,
love to bake.
I
and
love
cook.
that.
Yes.
I love that. So different, but I love that that's just a piece of you that
it's like still nourishing somebody, right?
Yeah,
It's like
just in a different
impacting
way.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I couldn't feed them mindset stuff, I would feed them food.
feed them with cupcakes. All right. What's your hidden talent?
Ooh, hidden talent, man. Comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gosh, we're running out of time, but I would love that. Oh my God, I need this couple jokes.
It's on my bucket list, a little stand up.
Oh, amazing. All right.
I might be the only one who I think is my hidden talent.
That's okay. It's a hidden talent. You need to make it not hidden anymore. All right, last question. If you could coach anyone in the world, real or fictional, who would it be?
Oh man, this is tough. I don't know that if it's a specific person, but I like a name or anything, but somebody who truly does not understand what their full potential is, but is willing to just be wide open and explore any idea.
Wow.
Anything. Like to coach anybody who is just like, I'm open to whatever you say, whatever we can discuss, hypnosis, like just that willing and open candidate,
I
because
love that.
man, people just have no idea what their potential is.
Yes.
No idea.
There's a lot of resistance, right?
Yes.
And I think everybody's, but it's fear. It's that fear piece, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Angie, it has been such a pleasure having you on my podcast. Oh, I just bumped myself here. We've loved having you in town at our summits. And I'm just excited. This is like the beginning of a great relationship, and having the opportunity to tap into you in the future is really exciting. So thanks for sharing and being on the show with me.
Thanks so much, Amy. I appreciate you.
And to all of you, thank you for tuning in to Corr Values again. Hope you have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Corr Values. If you loved the episode, be sure to hit the follow button so you don't miss the next one. You can also connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn for more insights on all things real estate and real life. And always, as a friendly reminder, you got this.